Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Ethereum, and we're going to be providing an update to the bull market support band. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the sale on the premium list, which you can find a link to in the description below, or just go to intothecryptoverse.com. As long as you do not cancel, you can lock in the lower rate. We'll keep that running for a couple of weeks, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. So, Ethereum is now it's on approach to its 20-week SMA and 21-week EMA. Now, this is a metric we typically talk about with regards to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, it's king of the asset class in the sense that it has the highest market capitalization. It's been around for the longest. So I think it makes the most sense to look at these things in terms of where Bitcoin is, but it doesn't mean that it's not useful to see where it is for Ethereum, okay? And I would say it's a pretty big test, which is why we're going to talk about it, all right? So if you're curious, the 20-week estimate for Ethereum is coming in at around 3,700, but the 21-week EMA is at around 3,366. So let's just say the bull market support band for Ethereum more or less ranges from 3,400 to 3,700. We would like to see ourselves get back above that level. Now, we're going to be looking at this in some context to see what's happened in the past when we fell below the bull market support band and then approached it a little bit later on. Okay, so the most recent time was back during the summer lull. And by the way, we talked about this, right? We talked about that this was not the run that was going to get Ethereum to $10,000 because we were already up a significant amount compared to prior rallies that Ethereum had seen. And therefore, we were more or less likely going to spend the summer cooling off for a while. Now, we did go put in a new all-time high, but we've since come back down. And again, we've talked a lot about these similar patterns in the past, so I'm not gonna bore you with the same thing in this video on Ethereum. But one of the things we will look at is just when you break it, the bull market support band, and then on approach to it, what happens if we get supported by it or if we get rejected by it. Now, again, remember, Bitcoin tends to be a little bit more useful in looking at support and resistance at that bull market support band. You can see holding it as support here, which we followed every single week. We made videos every single week talking about hold the line, and if we hold the line, things can move quickly, and they did. But also breaking it to the downside, things can get boring for a while, and they did. Holding it as support, we put in a new all-time high. Breaking it, things can get boring for a while. So with Ethereum, you see a similar type thing. You can see, okay, we broke it here. And by the way, we broke it after Bitcoin broke it, but we broke it a few weeks below it, held it as support, new all-time high. We also held it as support many times before that as well, which continued to support new all-time highs as we continue to go up the ladder and take out the prior 2018 all-time high. Now, if we look to see, okay, what about this bull market support band thing? How important is it to get above it and hold it as support? Well, it's pretty important if history is any indication. Now, if you go all the way back, you can see there was a time, and this was one of the moves we've compared it to before, right? But at the end of this phase, when we had that final sell-off, that was following a year-long reaccumulation phase, we went below the bull market support band. And then after hitting a bottom, it took a couple, let's call it 3 weeks or so, maybe a month, before we got back above it and started trending higher. So let's say about 4 weeks from the uptrend. But really, you could argue from this wick that took us even lower, it took maybe closer to a month and a half. From this wick, so far, it's been about 3 or 4 weeks or so. So if the move continues, we're at least looking to hopefully see a retest of the bull market support band. Now, there's no guarantees that we get above it, but getting back above that $3,400 to $3,700 level and holding it as support would likely mean good things coming for Ethereum. Now, you can see here when we got above it, and if we zoom in, I want to talk about this. We got above it. We did sort of hesitate for about a month. I mean, these candles, they look like nothing, right? It doesn't really seem like a whole lot. But when you talk about the first move to get back above it, that was in early January. And we didn't really start a significant move until about a month and a half later. Okay, so even I would argue best case scenario is you would still be looking at many more weeks of this dragging out, and with all the macroeconomic conditions going on and the whole risk-off environment, it's hard to really say how things are exactly going to transpire. This would certainly be one scenario that we would like to see play out. There's other scenarios where once we're above it, we would like to hold it as support. So imagine we get above it, we would like to actually hold it as support like we did here, like we did here. It typically, supports sustained moves to the upside. Now, what we don't really want to see happen is we don't want to see a rejection by the bull market support band. That's what we saw right here. Or the other thing, we don't want to get above it and then fail to hold it as support, because then that just leads into more boring accumulation phase, right? Boring reaccumulation. And it's possible that happens, right? I mean, all of these scenarios are certainly possible, but what we're looking out for is to get above the bull market support band with the idea that Bitcoin should hopefully support a lengthened cycle. So this would be the line in the sand to watch. Also, do note that the bull market support band did curl back down during this sell-off, just like it is today. So I saw some people say, well, this is the first time we've really seen some of these longer or these shorter moving averages really start to move to the downside a lot. Like the 21-week EMA hasn't really moved that far down before. We have seen it in the past, so I don't think you can necessarily take that to the bank because they're not going to cash it in. So I would argue this is a pretty big test coming up, and I know it's really exciting to see these prices for Bitcoin and for Ethereum, and to want to get on the phone with Forbes and start scheduling the interview. But again, don't schedule it just yet, because this is a fairly substantial test coming up for Ethereum to see if we can actually get back above it, and furthermore hold it as support, right? Hold it as support. Whether we linger there for a few days holding it as support like we did in 2016, or we go up and then come back down to it, doesn't really matter, but that is what we would ultimately like to see in the event of a sustained rally that's going to take out the prior all-time highs. So that's more or less the line in the sand that I'm looking for. If you're curious for Bitcoin, those equivalent lines in the sand range from around 46K up to 51K. All right, so 46 to 51. Maybe you could think about 46K Bitcoin is sort of like, the equivalent of Ethereum making it up to $3,400 in terms of where its own moving averages are. And then a 51K Bitcoin would be more or less corresponding to a $3,700 Ethereum based on these shorter term moving averages, the 20-week estimate and the 21-week EMA. So those are the lines in the sand to watch out for. Now, I also mentioned we do have the sale on the premium list. You remember, I don't run ads on the channel. We have no paid promotions, no AdSense. I've never posted affiliate links, none of that stuff. But we do have the premium list for those that want to support the channel, but actually get a lot of hopefully useful content that you can actually use to help navigate the cryptoverse. And we have all sorts of charts. We have a risk dashboard. You can see if you're an Ethereum fan, we have a ton of Ethereum charts. We have on-chain charts as well. For all sorts of cryptocurrencies, not just Ethereum. We have derivatives charts and social metrics charts and strategy dashboards and 3 premium videos each week, a newsletter each week, a Telegram alerts channel, a Telegram chat room where I put out daily voice notes and memos, lots of stuff. We don't have voice notes every single day, but we usually have some type of updates every single day. So if you guys want, make sure you check it out, intothecryptoverse.com. You can lock in the lower rate while the sale is going on, and you can keep that rate as long as you do not cancel. And furthermore, again, I'll remind you that if your portfolio is relatively small, then again, as I said in the last video, you would actually just be better off DCAing rather than signing up, right? I mean, I have to say that because if it's going to eat into a lot of what you're just putting into the market, if you're DCAing ETH and it's going to really substantially cut into that, then I would recommend not signing up. But since I'm not monetizing in other ways, at least maybe subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up so that we can continue growing the channel, and hopefully more people can, get introduced to the cryptoverse in a way that is a little bit more realistic rather than this over the top hype and stuff like that. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the show, and leave a note down below. Check out intothecryptoverse.com. There's actually a video over there that'll walk you through all the different things that you'll get. See you guys next time. Bye.